Hello everyone. I just wanted to hop on and show you guys my line progression. So for this pregnancy, we were trying to conceive, and I was tracking things like I was using a bunch of different apps. Flow is what I've always used prior to like trying to conceive, and so I had that app, but I actually found that it wasn't as helpful while I was trying to conceive. So I downloaded my Fertility Friend. I actually liked the BBT chart on that one the best. And then I also had downloaded the app that goes with the Femometer. I don't remember if that's the name of the app or not. I think it is. So it's Femometer. I'll put the links below. And I also really liked Kindara. I think Kindara was probably my favorite app out of all of the trying to conceive apps. But anyway, this video is about my progression line, so I want to show you. Sorry, my cat just keeps coming in here. So I was keeping track of cervical mucus. I also was doing OPK tests, so this is what I had. I'm gonna flip I can't flip the camera on here. That's annoying. That's gonna be difficult. I'll have to do it in a couple takes. So this is the ovulation and pregnancy test that I had gotten. It came in a big box. I got it off Amazon for like 15 bucks, and it came with 50 ovulation strips and 20 pregnancy tests. I liked it. I didn't have any issues with it. The ovulation ones are pink, and then the pregnancy ones are blue. But once they're open, they're all pink on the side. I'll show you in a second. They're all pink, which is kind of annoying. I wish they were different colors because you have to look really hard at the fine writing to see which kind of test it is. So anyway, I, according to my app, was supposed to ovulate around day 14 or 15. That's what I had been predicting to have been ovulating, and I would say that's pretty accurate because I can tell when I'm ovulating. I definitely have cramping, I'm irritable, bloated, like I definitely have ovulation symptoms. And so I had started testing with the ovulation strips on CD9. It said that I didn't need to test until like CD11, I think is what they recommended, but I wanted to make sure that I didn't miss anything. So I started testing on CD day 9, and I'm gonna show you now what my strips are for that. Okay, so here are my strips. These are my OPKs, and then here are my pregnancy strips. So I'll go through both of them with you, but you can kind of see, and if you hear any purring, it's because my kitty's on my lap. Okay, so like I said, I started testing on CD9, and so with these strips, there's an app, and you actually, there's a feature where you can like take a picture of your strip, and it will read it for you. So now, of course, all of these are dried, but I do have in the app a log of like what they looked like when I first took them. So it will tell you, I know every ovulation strip is different. Some of them flash smiley faces. Some of them have different numbers, which are like point systems. Like, I don't know. I'm not sure how other ones work, but these are the ones that I used, and it would tell you whether it was low, high, or peak. Those were the 3 categories. So, okay, so on CD9, I had low. I didn't even write down the number, but I think it was like either 1 or a 0. Then 10, and I wrote down whether I took it in the morning or in the evening. And then on CD10, it was low. CD11, it was low, but it was a little bit higher. It was a 7 versus like the 0 that it had been. Then midday and AM, I never really did it with first morning urine because they say for OPKs don't use first morning urine. So if it says AM, it was like sometime in the morning, like after 9 or 10 or something like that. So then CD12, this was the day, if you watched my previous video, that my husband and I had randomly baby danced in the morning before he went to work, and I thought it was so weird, so I had tested that day, and I had my peak, which was 108. So you can see here that this line is darker, than the control line. So when you're using ovulation strips, you're pretty much always going to see some sort of a faint line. That is normal. But it's not positive unless the test line is either equal to or darker than the control line. So last month, I didn't save my strips from last month, but last month had been low and then high and then high and then peak for like 3 days and then high and then high and then low. This was very different. It went from low this night to then midday it was already peak. So thankfully I didn't miss it. Then once I got my peak, I started testing more than just once a day. Well, I guess that was the only day that I did test twice that day. So then that same day I tested in the evening and it was high, but it was 72, so it had already gone down. So I knew that this was my peak. So that was CD12. CD13, it was high, it was 53. Again, I know some ovulation strips have like points, like 0 point whatever. I'm not sure what these numbers mean. That's just what the numbers are with this specific brand. So the numbers don't really mean anything. It's just low, high, or peak. I, based off of cervical mucus, having my peak the day before, and just symptoms in general, I definitely ovulated on CD13 and confirmed that with BBT, so with the basal body temping. And so I just used, I know they have all kinds of fancy thermometers. I just used this one from Target. It was like $7. You need one with the like double digit numbers. So I just used that. It was super simple. I would set this right on my nightstand. So first thing when I woke up, I would stick it in my mouth. It took a couple minutes. It was annoying, but it wasn't too bad. So I had confirmed that I ovulated on CD13 because CD14, my BBT spiked by like a massive amount, which I did not see the month before. Okay, so then CD14, it was high, but it was not really. It was 17, which is considered high, but you can clearly see it's going back down. So then after I knew that I had ovulated, I decided that this time, so normally I would only do like 1 or 2 days past ovulation, but this time I decided that I was going to continue doing every 2 days because I had heard on a a forum somewhere that someone said that they had gotten a positive OPK before they got a positive pregnancy test. So every other day I kept testing. So 14, 16, 18, and you can see they were like pretty much nothing. They were like low and then 0, 0, 1. And then on CD23, which was, my writing is awful on here. I think that's 10 DPO. I got a high. It was only 11, but I was like, that's kind of weird. So I kind of got excited. I didn't test yet because I was telling myself that I was going to wait until 12 DPO to test because I was sick of seeing the negatives. So then on 11 DPO, CD24, it was even higher. It was 39. And so this was the day that I actually tested, and this was the first pregnancy test that I took. So this one's from the dollar store, and you can clearly see, I mean, obviously this is dried and old now, but you can clearly see the line on there. And so this was DPO 11 DPO. And the reason I had decided to test a day before I was going to was because I was getting these, I wouldn't say positive because they're not peak, like this one's positive, but like more positive, I guess you could say, like higher OPKs. And then also that morning I had a massive bout of nausea with breakfast, and so I just decided to test, and it was positive. So then this one was taken 11 DPO. This was not with first morning urine because remember I had decided I wasn't going to test until day 12. So this was 11 DPO and it was like midday urine and it showed up that clear. So then I drank a whole bunch of tea and everything so that I could pee some more, and then I tested on this one, which actually I think that the dollar store test, you can see it a lot clearer. So it's definitely there on the first response, but it's not as dark. I was surprised. surprised. I thought that the first response would be way darker because this is like the first response, like 6 days sooner or whatever. I was kind of shocked that this was so light. And then I also took this pregnancy test. So see how they look the same? I don't like that they're both the same color because that's annoying to me, but you can see on here it says LH and then this one says HCG. So this was my first positive. This was not first morning urine. It was 11 DPO and you can clearly see the line. So I still think the dollar store one was the darkest, but you can see that it was there. So then I continued to test with my OPKs, 12 DPO, it got even higher, and then this was 14 DPO, it was even darker. So that was interesting to me to see that these OPKs were going along with the pregnancy test. So I don't know if you've tried that. I have heard that some women say that they get this before they get their period too. I have never tried it before, so I'm not sure if that's true, but I thought it was kind of interesting that it picked up the hormone on these OPKs. So then moving over to my progression here, I'll kind of zoom out so you can see the whole thing. So this was on 11 DPO. This next one was 12 DPO, first morning urine, and it really wasn't that much darker, which I was surprised because this one was not first morning urine, and I thought that, I don't know, I just thought it would be higher. So I took another one midday, 12 DPO, and again, it was still, it looks very similar to 11 DPO. So I got a little nervous. So I just decided to take a few more tests, you know, just to make sure that the chart was progressing here. So then we have 13 with first morning urine, definitely was darker. 15, this was the first day of my missed period. So this is the day, I would have gotten my period, and it was clearly darker. Then 15 DPO, 16, 17, and then I didn't test for a while, and then this was 22 DPO, or 8 days past my missed period, and clearly this test line is now darker than the control, so I have stopped taking tests, and I have stopped temping. I stopped temping probably, I think this day, like 17 DPO. Just because I don't really feel like I need to anymore, but I wanted to make sure I saved this so that I could share my strips with you guys. If anyone has any questions, I am by no means an expert on this, but I'm happy to share what my experience was using the OPKs. This was only my second month tracking with OPK and the BBT, so again, not an expert, but pretty cool to see, you know, that the OPKs picked it up and that, you know, there's clearly a pregnancy progression here, which makes me really happy to see.